And this is Coffee Connection. It is our mental health segment, and I am so super excited about this brand new series that we are starting with Seba Ali. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist from Kame Hearts of Texas and has over 11 years of experience, and super excited to welcome her back to the show. Although she has not left Radio Azad because she's been doing a lot of wonderful segments on Damdar Dildar with Gautam. How are you, Seba? Assalamu
Good.
alaikum.
Malikum Assalam. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Aisha, how are you?
You are glowing as always. Mashallah, mashallah.
Nee, it's the company that keeps it that way.
Ah, see, spoken like a true therapist, huh? So, what gave you the idea to start a series like this?
So, Aisha, ever since I went to school for counseling, I have always had this in mind, with the community in mind. Like the
Mm-hmm.
main reason I went into going back to school for therapy is because I felt like we needed bilingual therapists and therapists that understand the culture.
Hmm.
And so that perspective has never left me. I'm always constantly thinking about how do I connect mental health to spiritual health to the community and make it accessible.
Hmm.
And one of the biggest hurdles is the stigma. And I think, Alhamdulillah, lately it has been we've managed to battle it enough, and with COVID and all of that, it's
Mm-hmm.
become a little bit better. But apart from the stigma, one other thing that I've found that people really struggle with is the vagueness of the mental health field.
Hmm.
It's like people don't understand, where do you go, like what's a therapist, what's a counselor, what's a psychologist,
Yeah.
what's a psychiatrist, like who do we go to for help in which area.
Mm-hmm.
And having experienced that a lot, and when I came to the Radio Azad anniversary celebration
Mm-hmm.
and I saw all of you, like, having been focused for so many years, more than a decade, in trying to help the community, I was sitting there and thinking, like, what could I do in my field, inshallah, that could maybe help the community with the mental health field more. And so the idea came up. And the amazing part was, I mentioned it to you, and within half an hour to an hour, you call me back, you're like, we're on. I'm like, oh my God, that is like such an amazingly efficient way. And that's why I knew you would, I expected that from you, that progressive and instantly, like, identifying something that's good and wanting to help the community. So mashallah, Radio Azad does a good job, and I wanted to be
Oh,
part of it.
how sweet. Thank you. So very well explained and right up our alley because that's part of our mission
Yes.
to help the community. And you've been doing that for so many years. You've
Alhamdulillah.
helped so many victims of domestic violence,
Mhm.
and such a terrific need over there, which you have been fulfilling. But to do something like this, to what we call our decoding series
Mhm.
of mental health, I think it's a great need and will help a lot of different people. So thank you for reaching out, thank you for helping Radio Azad in our mission
You're
to help the community, and together hopefully we can make a little bit of a difference. So Zeba, let's start from the beginning, and that is, it's such a nebulous word to people, and it sometimes it's just thrown out
welcome.
about mental health.
Mhm.
So what is mental health? How would you go about defining what it is?
So mental health, basically, it's our ability to think, to feel emotions, like how we think about things, how we feel our emotions, how we process through our stressors, and how do we show up
Hmm.
as a spouse, as a friend, as a worker, as in our professional abilities. So mental health has to do with your brain and your mind and how you're processing life, how it impacts you, how you go about managing all these stressors, all these difficulties in a way that you're able to function, in a way that it doesn't become crippling, and you're unable to show up in all these relationships and these roles.
Hmm.
So it is I think we understand the physical aspect of it. We understand if our we're not, our blood pressure is high, or we're not able to move, we have a fever, we have a cough, but we don't understand how powerful and how important it is that we manage our mental health, which basically your brain and your mind has immense impact on your bodily functions.
Mm.
And we fail to make that correlation. We are quick, or maybe we are more prone to take care of our physical bodies, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that the center, the CPU of the body is the mind.
Right.
And if we don't take care of that, which includes, your heart, your emotions, all of that, then it's going to spill over into
Exactly.
our physiology.
So even if you may be physically healthy,
Hmm.
but um, you need to that whole concept of holistic healthcare comes into this, right? Because it does affect your mental health, even if you're physically healthy.
Right. And I would go one step further to say that you cannot completely be physically healthy
Mm-hmm.
if you're not mentally also healthy.
Yeah.
Because, World Health Organization actually identified that stress is one of the most debilitating, it leads to a lot of other diseases. It leads to a lot of cortisone levels, sugar levels, and it leads to a lot of other issues, blood pressure and bodily functions. Like, it affects our physiology. So it's not
Mm.
just that holistically you should, it's a side thing. No, it impacts our body immensely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between everyday stress and something that deserves professional attention?
So absolutely, there is a difference there. But even managing everyday stress,
Mm.
and even, how you have healthy habits, like,
Mm-hmm.
you we are big into dieting and managing healthy food habits. If you have healthy food habits, it basically deters major crises and illnesses and issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the same way, if you have a healthy way of managing day to day stress, if
Mm-hmm.
you have a proper handle on all those stresses, then in the long run, it won't pile up, it won't landslide into a major issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyday stress management is
Mm-hmm.
also
Mm-hmm.
connected to maintaining good mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's different. Of course, if it's very debilitating, if it gets into anxiety, if it gets into a disorder situation, obviously that's something that you get help for. But even if not, then how are you managing your everyday stressors? How are you managing your everyday emotions? Sleep patterns affected. Stress affects our emotional being. So if you're not managing it in a routine, it's going to lead to more disastrous things.
Okay, got it. Now, if somebody feels overwhelmed and doesn't know where to start,
Hmm.
okay, we're putting this into context.
Yeah.
They have some vague feelings of maybe feeling, I just can't cope anymore. You're
Hmm.
feeling sad, down, some major issue troubling you, whatever it is. You don't know where to start.
Yeah.
What would be the first step for them?
So the first, and I think what you're talking about, like lasting weeks and months of stress and anxiety and losing sleep, and how it affects relationships and things like that. I think one of the first things that you do is try and get in touch with a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that professional can even be your, family care practitioner. You can seek help and ask around for people.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, for emotional and mental health issues, you want to try and find a therapist. You want to try and find a counselor for that. And the first step in that becomes that you make sure you find a professional counselor. Make
Okay.
sure you verify their license on the website, because sometimes there are people who may seem to be counselors but not necessarily professionally licensed.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey begins in trying to find a professionally licensed therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be the first step. Or you take a reference from your primary care physician,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be the first step. And you don't need to have a roadmap like all ready and set to go. You can just,
Okay.
the first step, the first professional you speak to.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a kid in school, it could be a school counselor that you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a teacher, it could be your doctor or a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But just take the first step.
Okay, okay. And how should someone choose a provider?
So in terms of choosing a provider, first of all, verify your license, of course, the license of the professional. Then look for your comfort level. Like if you are, let's suppose if you're a South Asian female,
Hmm.
is your issue, is your cultural background relevant to the issue that you're facing?
Is that so important to pick somebody from the same cultural background?
It is very important. I think, to be fair, like in counseling school, everybody is taught how to be culturally sensitive. So
Hmm.
even people who are not from your culture, they're trying their best to be culturally sensitive and to cater to what you need. But the thing is, the obstruction that I've often seen is that you end up having to explain cultural nuances to them.
Hmm.
So they may be very open, and sometimes they may be very open. And I've seen people do this in couples therapy. I've had other therapists contact me and say, "Hey, I'm running into this issue with this couple,"
Hmm.
but the husband says or the wife says that culturally this is acceptable, and sometimes that's not even accurate. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Culturally too, this is not acceptable. So you're basically educating them
Hmm.
on the cultural nuances, and there's just such a huge spectrum on where, even for us, like someone from the south or
Hmm.
north, or there's just so many nuances. It is a little bit difficult for someone else to understand, and a lot of time
Hmm.
goes into explaining to them what your culture entails.
Okay, okay. So first you need to check their license.
First, you need to check their license. And luckily we have, as you know, I'm also a co-founder of MAPS, which is Muslim Association for Psychological Services,
Hmm.
that has over 72 members, and we have a website, mapsnetwork.org.
Hmm.
On that you'll find a lot of the Muslim therapists. They're Muslim therapists, but they cater to all South Asian and cultural, Indian and Pakistani, Bangladeshi, so they Middle Eastern. So they have that nuance, the cultural nuance.
So how does one become part of that?
If you're a therapist,
Hmm.
then you apply
Mm.
on the website to become a member. So we make sure you verify their licensure.
Hmm.
So we wanted to make sure that there are licensed individuals available and all their details are given on there.
Okay.
So Alhamdulillah, that's a site that you can go to. And then, your comfort level, their expertise in what, if you're looking for couples therapy, you want to make sure that within their description there is talk about couples therapy. If you're looking for a stronger religious spiritual background to your therapist, then that's something that in their introduction they might say.
Hmm.
So you want to do the research, you want to identify what feels comfortable to you, and you can always ask for like a 15-minute consultation, free consultation. A lot of therapists would do that to see if it's a good fit.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Now, is mental health covered by insurance?
Yes, mental health is covered by insurance. It varies. Some special programs cover them 100%.
Hmm.
Some programs have a deductible. You need to ask your insurance providers. And there are a lot of therapists that take insurance. There are some who don't.
Hmm.
There are some who provide a sliding fee scale based on the income level. So that's also available there. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, it's an
okay.
option.
All right. Now, so somebody has decided that they need therapy,
Mhm.
and they have looked and they have found a therapist. So obviously you have to establish that comfort level and
Right.
that connection with the therapist. So what kind of questions should you ask during that first meeting?
Yeah, during first of all, some of the questions that you want to ask them is, have you worked with the kind of situation that I'm facing?
Hmm.
What type of experience do you have? What type of expertise do you have in this field? What are the trainings that you have completed? What are the incorporate my immediate current situation and need
Mm.
with what you may have planned in the treatment plan. For example, when I see clients, I tell them that I may have a specific agenda, that this is what I'm going to do with you today, but anything that's happening in your life right now is what take precedence. So
Mm.
it's not like I'm going to be like, okay, we'll talk about that later, we need to focus on this. So it's like a mutual the therapy outcome, the therapy format is mutually decided. You do have some control over that.
Mm-hmm.
And the important thing to feel reassured about is the confidentiality part of it. A lot of people are worried about it, that we are speaking to someone from the community. What if word gets out? You want to voice those to your
Mm-hmm.
therapist. You want to say to them, this is what I'm worried about. How do you treat confidentiality? I would strongly recommend that you trust a therapist that says, if I see you in public, I'm not going to acknowledge you. That's what I do. I'm
Mm.
not going to acknowledge you. I'm not going to say hello to you, because not only because I want to guard your confidentiality, but also because in sessions you have shared a lot of personal information with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're standing in a group of people at a community center or something, and I approach you and I say hello, automatically all of these things come up for you, and you feel insecure. Oh my God, this person knows so much about me.
Mm.
So it can make them insecure, feel worried. So I tell them, I'm never going to approach you now outside of the session.
Mm-hmm.
I will never send you a friend request. I will not accept a friend request from you. So don't feel like I'm rejecting you. It's just for your
Yeah.
safety. So,
Right.
someone who takes confidentiality really seriously, you want to have the conversation about treatment goals, more specifically, tangible treatment goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the things we are going to do? How do we handle? And how long is therapy going to last?
Last.
The thing that I want people to kind of try and focus on is the therapy should help you learn techniques and tools
Mm-hmm.
and be able to eventually apply it to yourself.
Mm.
It's not supposed to be a open-ended forever thing.
I see.
Obviously, it's up to your situation and the therapist how long it takes.
Mm.
But as a therapist, I want to make sure that I am equipping, the teach a man to fish kind of a thing,
Yeah.
equipping them with the tools that they need to be able to handle those issues themselves.
So that's how you graduate from therapy.
That's how you graduate from therapy. And
Okay.
then again, having been in therapy, you always have that venue. If
Mm.
things get tough, you can always reach out to the therapist. You've been through the process, there is help.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned that the internet is a wonderful resource,
Hmm.
but a lot of people get their therapy through the internet, right?
Yeah, these
And
days it's happening a lot.
and they
Yeah.
believe everything that is thrown in there. They do a search on chat gpt, or and suddenly even your insta feed is full of
Yeah.
these gurus and everything. What do you have to say to that, to people?
Right. The thing is, it's first of all with Chat GPT, and a lot of people keep these days their journal in Chat GPT. They talk to Chat GPT about their issues. Chat GPT it's designed to give you the answers you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to correct your behaviors or inform you. It can be dangerous. You get reaffirmed if you have uh, negative beliefs, or if you have beliefs that are not helpful to your situation,
Mm-hmm.
you might end up getting more and more reinforced in those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely not a good idea to do that.
Okay.
In terms of the TikTok 2 minute YouTube bites of information that you have on mental health,
Mm-hmm.
understand that that's just a surface level thing. You have no idea how intergenerational trauma works,
Mm-hmm.
how these factors that are being talked about, whether it applies to you or not. Like, therapy is such a subjective field that every individual, like, no two people, no two cases are exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even children born in the same family have different parents,
Yeah.
because the kind of mother I am to one child
Mm-hmm.
is not the kind of mother I am to the other child. So when people are so unique and everything is so subjective, you cannot look for a one size fit answer from
Mhm, mhm.
TikTok or YouTube, which is just,
Yeah.
sound bites.
Sound bites. Absolutely. Very well said. All right.
Yeah.
So let's try and understand what different mental health professionals do. And there
Mm-hmm.
is a long list
Long
of
list.
titles. And before I forayed into, talking about this field, I was like, oh, what is an LPC and what is an LMFT and all that? So people hear titles and they get confused. So if you can you walk us through what these different titles mean in mental health, and maybe start off with the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist?
I'm so glad you asked that question. And Aisha, that is the goal that we have. We
Mm-hmm.
want to bring in guests from different guests from each modality in that sense, so
Yeah.
that they can expand more
Mm-hmm.
on what they do. But for now, we'll just give a short blurb on everyone, hopefully, in
Okay.
that field.
Mm-hmm.
So, a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. So they've gone to medical school and then they've specialized in psychiatry.
Mm-hmm.
So they focus more on medication. They focus more on diagnosing mental health disorders, which therapists do also, but they specifically work a lot with prescribing medications. And so a psychiatrist comes into play at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an important point to say is, a lot of times I get so many people who who are taking medication for anxiety and depression prescribed by their family care physician.
Mm-hmm.
All respect, with all due respect to family care physicians, there are certain medications that they know that's like routinely prescribed, but psychiatrists have gone to a specialized school
Mm.
and they have the latest updates, the latest information, the latest research on those medications. So if you are taking medication for anxiety and depression
Mm-hmm.
and these kind of disorders, why not go to a psychiatrist
Mm-hmm.
and take it from them, because they're focused on that. It's like
Yeah.
you're going to a primary care physician for a cardiology issue,
Mm.
like for an ENT issue.
Yeah.
They know it, they can guide you, but you do want to go to a specialized person. So that's a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And you asked me the difference between a psychologist. Psychologists are PhDs
Mm-hmm.
in psychology, and they are more focused in on testing,
Mm.
in terms of ADHD testing, mental disorder testing, various types of testing. They also provide therapy, and they also do a lot of assessment, especially for ADHD and other mental disorders. So
Mm.
they are more into the therapeutic part of psychology, and
Okay.
psychiatrists are more on the chemical and the medical part. But we will hear directly from them too, inshallah,
Yes.
where they can expand more on that.
Okay. Now we've heard this term LPC,
Sure.
licensed professional counselor.
Yes.
Okay. Who would benefit from seeing one?
So, licensed professional counselors, then you're into the therapy part of it. So, anxiety, depression, any mental issues,
Mm-hmm.
any mental health issues, stress, high stress. These are all things that LPCs can help with. And they provide therapeutic support. They do not prescribe medication.
Okay.
So LPCs are your regular counselors, therapists, and you can go to them for all of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
They can help individuals. They can also do couples therapy. But at the same time, then you have the next category,
Mm-hmm.
which is LMFTs.
LMFT.
Right.
Okay.
So LMFTs and LPCs, they have similar requirements,
Mm-hmm.
similar schooling requirements, and similar internship requirements, but they are still two different licenses.
Mm-hmm.
What LMFTs does is they are licensed marriage and family therapists.
Okay.
The LPC's focus often is on individuals and what ails the individual, and they look at an issue from a more individualistic perspective. But with the licensed marriage and family therapist, they look at any issue in context of family systems, and in that sense.
Got it.
So they are more likely to they have a systems approach.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more likely, if you come, if a client comes to me with an issue, I'm going to be like, can I speak to your mom? Can I speak
Mm.
to your dad? Can I speak to your sister? Because I'm trying to get a more holistic, um, a kind of view of the issue, perspective of the issue. And marriage and family therapists also view issues in context of family issues.
Got it. So somebody who may be going through relationship issues, maybe there's trouble in the marriage,
Right.
husband and wife, when they typically go for therapy, they go to a LMFT.
They can go to LPCs also. There are LPCs who have specialized in couples therapy. And so
Hmm.
the LPCs can also provide therapy to couples.
Okay.
But LMFTs have focused more on couples relationships, on family conflict, and family relationships. So they have actually studied that more intensely.
I see.
So it is a little bit more. But then after a certain level, how you grow as a therapist, how many specialized courses. For example, LPCs can do Gottman, or they can take specialized couples programs and they can hone themselves.
Hmm.
But you want to ask those questions.
Okay, got it. Now there's one more type of therapist, an LCDC. What is that?
Mhm. LCDCs are licensed chemical dependency counselors.
Okay.
So these are basically therapists who are also looking at, they specialize in dependency, substance abuse, addictions,
Addiction.
those kind of issues. So
Okay.
if you know someone who's dealing with addictions,
Mm-hmm.
personally, I generally don't see people with addiction because it's a whole different ball game. You need a different kind of expertise in that. So
Hmm.
LCDCs, I would refer them out to LCDCs because they have specifically they understand the psychology of addiction, and so they are more specialized. Not to say that LMFTs and LPCs cannot deal with this, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a matter of specialization. So why wouldn't you seek someone who is
Mm-hmm.
specialized in the area that you're looking for?
Is that just chemical dependency, or it could be now technology dependency
It
also?
can be addictions. Basically, the psychology of addiction is similar to a large extent. So it can be anything to do with addictions. It can be porn addiction. It can be video games addictions. It can be, basically, they are more well versed with addictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we our first interaction with a
Hmm.
counselor for a lot of parents
Hmm.
is like, oh, the school counselor,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Um, who are these LPCs? Are they LMFTs? Are they like what is their background, and then what is actually their role within the school system?
Hmm. So to give you a better idea of the LPC, LMFT, and school counselors, like I did my schooling at SMU,
Mm-hmm.
so I could choose two areas,
Okay.
two tracks. So I selected LPC and LMFT. So I'm a licensed professional counselor as well as a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
So up to a certain degree level, everybody's studying the same thing.
Mm.
And then after that, the school counselors specialize also in career counseling and also in helping students with the academic part of it,
I see.
and helping students and parents navigate the school system or the issues that are related to school bullying and things that are more specific
Mm-hmm.
to school environments. And so marriage and family therapists take some extra courses in something else. So school counselors also help with the academic counseling part,
Yeah.
in selecting courses and helping them figure out which courses are advanced courses or honors classes and things like that. But they're also there to help the students if they're running into, if somebody's having an anxiety attack, if somebody's showing signs of emotional and mental distress. They also speak to the students. They also see them in a routine. They run programs in school that speak more, kind of more promote mental health and communication and group therapy and things like that.
Mm.
So, but then they're less likely to have a particular like student for 1 year like coming into therapy.
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to refer them out because they don't have that much time. They're dealing with
A
many
lot
many
of kids.
students, and so they might refer them out for extensive one-on-one therapy sometimes.
I see. Okay. And how about speech and occupational therapists? Do they support mental health in any particular way?
They do have a mental health background, and it is focused more on speech because they're helping communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
and this is often seen in children who have speech impediment. So while they're focusing on speech,
Mm.
they also have a mindset of making encouraging the child, providing the right sort of emotional support to the parents.
Okay.
So with that, an occupational therapist mostly like sensory regulations, executive functioning,
Mm.
motor, daily living skills, those type of things.
Got it. Got it. We're in conversation with Seba Ali, LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, and we are decoding mental health for you. It's almost like a introduction to mental health for you all, so that we can truly understand a little bit better about what is this field and who to go for therapy and who to go for medications and how to navigate this whole field. We've talked a lot about all the different practitioners.
Mhm.
There are also social workers.
Mhm.
What's their role?
So LCSWs are social workers. So again, that is they also study the mental health field,
Hmm.
but they also study the social services field. So they are also in tune with what the government systems are established, what resources are available to people,
Mm,
whether it is whether it's food stamps, or how does the government, how does the society, how does the community in the
mm,
administrative level helps people.
I
So they
see.
do therapy, but as well as they have more information on community resources and systems approach.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is so informative and
Mm-hmm.
so enlightening, Seba. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
I've often heard about these terms which are thrown out like, oh, ABA therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So what is ABA and BCBA? What do these providers do?
So these are basically behavior support therapies.
Okay.
So especially you run into these more often with autism or Asperger's, the autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So these are places where children are taught how to regulate their emotion if they're not able to communicate that. So
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot of these kind of schools or clinics where children are sent to teaching living skills, not just their children but adults with
Mm-hmm.
issues of autism and all. So these are behavior regulation, behavior management, life skills in a routine. It is those type of therapies.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, okay, excellent. And how about a psychiatric nurse practitioner?
So a psychiatric nurse practitioner would be something similar to a nurse practitioner in a medical field. So
Okay.
their qualifications are different from the doctor, but they also step in. Sometimes it's easier to get an appointment with them than the doctor and things like that. So they pretty much do almost the same things as the doctor does. They do diagnosis, they do medication management.
Mm-hmm.
So they're similar to a psychiatrist, but the difference in their education or the years of experience in education, which is pretty substantial.
Right. And how about faith and spirit or spiritual guides?
Mhm.
How can they work together with mental health practitioners?
So this is a very very interesting subject, especially for people who are, especially in fighting the stigma of mental health. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, what happens in our communities, regardless of whether you're Muslim, Hindu, whatever religion you're from, a lot of times we come from a community of thinking, well, if you have issues, you should just pray more,
Mm,
or it's destined for you, or there's a little bit of an attitude of ignoring the issues, and kind of trying to be like, if you'd only pray on time, if you'd pray more.
mm,
And that is something that a lot of people, mental health professionals, have issues with faith leaders, where sometimes faith leaders would also say things like that, depression, you wouldn't have depression if you did
mm.
this and that. But alhamdulillah, in our DFW community, MAPS has been working with faith leaders for almost, I think, 10 years now, 8 to 10 years now, where we have built a bridge between spiritual leaders and mental health professionals, where we have even done like a one-on-one uh, imams training on mental health 101,
Mm-hmm.
because even technically they are also really overwhelmed with the amount of questions and all they get. People who have they become the first point of contact when there are issues in a marriage or issues with children, and they're not always equipped to deal with those, because
Mm-hmm.
some of those are mental health. So we've had discussions where, okay, this is the spiritual issue, but at this point refer them out to a professional.
I see.
So it goes hand in hand. It's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to work together. Spirituality, it will add more resilience, it would add more, existentialist references, and it
Mm-hmm.
would help you make sense of suffering or give you meaning,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of justice and all of that. But at the same time, mental health issues have to be referred out to the mental health professional. And sometimes
Absolutely.
we might even refer them back to spiritual leaders,
Mm-hmm.
where it helps them to have that, whoever wants to, of course. So it goes, these are two areas which work beautifully together if each one of them is aware and well educated in their own field.
And I think there are some who have both training,
Yes, there are
right?
some now.
A
Now we
handful.
are also seeing Islamic psychotherapy as a emerging field,
Oh, really?
and yes, we have a special, Islamic psychotherapy, because in our traditions, counseling has been part of the Muslim tradition
Mm-hmm.
since we had mental hospitals in the 7th century. The West came up with a mental hospital much later,
Mm-hmm.
and their mental hospitals were really not. They were very. They weren't right.
Torture chambers.
Yeah, it was like you paid. I think in France there was one where you paid a ticket to go watch
Oh,
people who were
really?
mentally ill. So it was, but we had really good understanding. So it's part of a tradition. So
Mm-hmm.
Islamically, at least, I know that you're encouraged to seek help, and all the mashallah, imams and everyone in the DFW area, as far as I know, do encourage and do recommend that people seek help when they need to, like physical
Hmm.
illnesses.
Yeah.
This is also something that, if, like, we go for physicals every year, like we are supposed to,
Yes.
right? So similarly, you have to make sure that you're mentally and emotionally in sound health, because if your brain is not, if you're very stressed, it affects every aspects of your life.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does. So you mentioned, you touched upon this, and that is hospitals, mental health hospitals.
Mhm.
So is care provided on an outpatient basis as well as an inpatient basis, and how is that determined?
So it is provided in an outpatient basis. So there's inpatient, then there is outpatient, which is like a day system. So people come in for the whole day
Hmm.
and they stay there, but they go home at night.
Okay.
Then it goes on to being in therapy. So there are like different levels of care that is needed. Now, which level of care someone needs depends on their diagnosis. That is a determination that a
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist can make.
Mm-hmm.
A therapist can also diagnose. I could see someone and be like, okay, you need an additional layer of care. So I could I refer out to psychiatrists all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's determined between these professionals
Right.
what level of care is needed for home.
Got it. Okay. So that covers who all the different uh, players are
Hmm.
in this field. Now let's talk a little bit about specific treatments and modalities.
Hmm.
We've often heard the term CBT.
Right.
We've often heard the term EMDR or
Hmm.
neurofeedback.
Hmm.
What are these?
So these are all different. So within the field of therapy, there are therapeutic different types of therapies,
Okay.
and each therapeutic guidance or each school of therapy is first of all based on their philosophy about what mental issues are.
Mm-hmm.
uh, what do you think? What does this particular, for example, I'm an Adlerian therapist. So I basically base my therapeutic understanding, the philosophy of it,
Mm-hmm.
on the Adlerian concept. Now, the
Adlerian.
Adlerian
Okay.
concept. Now, the Adlerian concept is grounded in the fact that Alfred Adler believed that human beings who have mental issues are, it's not mental issues, they're just discouraged people who have been discouraged in childhood or growing up, or life has discouraged them. So they get into a state of they start having anxiety and overwhelm and all of this.
Hmm.
Now, CBT and different theories have a different philosophy. Now,
Okay.
with Adlerian therapy, the thing is that social interest is an important part. So, if anybody, I would often strongly encourage people to get involved in the community
Mm-hmm.
and take up a social interest and serve others, because my belief system with the Adlerian therapy is that people will feel encouraged, and that will help them heal themselves in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that way, different theories have different methods of treating patient or
Okay.
clients.
Okay.
CBT is one such
CBT
method,
is cognitive
cognitive
behavioral
behavior therapy.
therapy.
So, the
Okay.
cognitive behavior therapy, it's actually very popular because it has more, it has a more logical approach. It's not as vague and it's not as philosophical as it's
Okay.
practical. It seems practical. So a lot of therapists use CBT techniques, which is cognitions, how you view something, how you think about something,
Hmm.
impacts how you act on something, and how you act on a particular situation impacts how the outcome, and the outcome impacts your thinking again.
Hmm.
So CBT techniques are used by a lot of people, and it depends on what the issue is. It could be used in couples therapy, it could be used in all kinds of issues.
Mm-hmm.
But so CBT therapist, you, if you are looking for something more like that, then you know where to go for that.
Okay.
And similarly, you mentioned EMDR.
MDR. Mm-hmm.
EMDR is eye motor desensitization reprocessing. What it is, it's actually a very strong, empirically proved system. It basically thinks that it works really well in trauma, in complex trauma.
Hmm.
So it is not as much talk therapy as it is bilateral stimulation of the brain to process through a traumatic experience, to
Okay.
diffuse that. So it works really well with PTSD and complex trauma. And we'll have, you know, inshallah, we'll
Experts.
have
They.
experts, and we'll decode that eventually.
Okay. Okay. How about biofeedback and neurofeedback? What is that?
So biofeedback is basically your biological reaction,
Okay.
body's reaction to situation.
Hmm.
So it helps you regulate your bodily reaction. Like sometimes people have, like it monitors you, like what situation, what impact is it having on your physiology,
Hmm.
and how can you basically calm yourself down if you're feeling flooded, if you're feeling anxious, your throat's dry. What do you say and what do you do to calm yourself down physically? So biofeedback is a system. It gives you information on how your body is reacting to certain situations,
I
and
see.
how can you regulate that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
neurofeedback is similarly how your brain is reacting. They
Hmm.
put nodes in your head, and they can see, you know, the brain functions and what areas light up. So how your brain waves are reacting to certain situations, and
Hmm.
what could you do at the foundational level of neuropathy in that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I know a lot of
Lot of
so
information
basically
to process.
neurofeedback trains the brain, and
Okay.
biofeedback trains the
Trains the
body.
body. Got it. Okay. Seba, such incredible information, and definitely this is like the ABCs of mental health and a
Mhm.
quick overview. What are some of the major treatment approaches available today?
So some of these CBT, and these are the treatment approaches as well.
Hmm.
And you know, I think going into therapy and figuring out what's going on, consulting with the therapist for 15 minutes, maybe taking guidance from your primary care physician, which therapeutic approach to take would depend. Like I said, it's so subjective.
Hmm.
It'll depend on the issue. For example, I could go into couples therapy, right? I could be using Gottman's therapy, and while I'm doing couples therapy, I recognize that, maybe one person has severe anxiety. Maybe one of the partners is like absolutely their perceptions or what they say to themselves is very very negative,
Hmm.
or is very not accurate. So then I'll have to practice CBT with them
Hmm.
first, then I'll have to work on the anxiety first, then work on couples therapy. So that there can be these dual situations
I
where
see.
different modalities come into different approaches, because it's just so subjective. And there's one thing that I want to talk about is also person-centered therapy
Hmm.
and play therapy.
Yeah.
So, person centered therapy is basically very focused on your emotions and feelings and very reflective.
Hmm.
All therapists are supposed to provide the client's unconditional positive regard, no judgment. It has to be a judgment free zone. But person centered are more focused on providing you with that safe space.
Hmm.
And play therapy is actually for children young who are not able to express what they're going through. And play is used, toys and plays is used as a way of figuring out what's going on with them.
Right.
And
And
with adolescents and younger people, I mean a lot of people do, and I used to activity therapists. So if I have like a 9-year old, I'm not, sometimes actually I've been surprised with 9-year olds walking in and like, okay, this is what happened today. And I'm like, okay, they know how it goes. But a lot of times it's
yeah.
not easy for them to just start speaking about the issues they're having. So
Hmm.
we play board games. And
Yeah.
while we're playing board games and something, oh, what happened at school that day? And they start talking. So that's
Mm.
activity therapy. So these
Okay.
are all tools that therapists use to basically join with the clients
Hmm.
and maybe help them.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful information. Truly excited about this series and what we're going to explore
Hmm.
in so many different areas
Yes.
and different personality disorders and different types of issues that
Hmm.
you have come across through all your experience. And we'll be bringing in experts from the field to join us and talk about these. And if there's a particular topic or particular issue that you would like to us to explore, then you can definitely give us a call.
And
Thank
I would
you.
actually really appreciate, it would be great for people to reach out and tell us what they're looking for, so we're decoding here.
We're decoding. Absolutely. You can find this entire segment on the Radio Azad team YouTube channel. And of course, you're going to get small segments, the bite sized segments on Instagram and Facebook as well. And do tune in to Radio Azad 107.9 FM, HD4 in the Dallas